During a meeting with Democratic governors on Wednesday, President Biden suggested he might start limiting events after 8 p.m. so he can get more sleep. One source tells NBC News the president was asked about his health, and he said that he was doing fine, adding, quote, "It's just my brain." The governors took that as a joke, as did Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon. When she was asked about the remark, she said Biden was clearly making a joke, adding that he also said, "All kidding aside." And in the Wisconsin interview that aired yesterday, President Biden acknowledged that he had a poor debate performance, but defended his candidacy.
I had a bad night. And the fact of the matter is that, I screwed up. I made a mistake. But I learned from my father, when you get knocked down, just get back up. Get back up. And, we're going to win this election. We're going to just beat Donald Trump like we did in 2020. We're going to beat him again. But we need all of you to get this done, all of you. Look, I came back I was in a situation where I didn't have a good debate. That's 90 minutes on stage. Look at what I've done in 3.5 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. So many Democrats on the phone nonstop since that debate. And there's panic. There's no doubt there's panic all around. I said 8 days ago that the president needed to consider getting out. Said that we needed to give it time, needed to see what was going to happen. And I think we're still there. I mean, it is July the 5th. This happened 8 days ago. And decision time is not upon us yet. And though it may be coming soon, I think we should first honor a man who was first on the ballot 54 years ago by giving him the time and the space to make his decision before we tell him that we've made ours. This week, there are going to be a lot more polls. There are going to be more interviews. There's going to be a NATO summit, and we're going to have more information to take in. Now, the test of our democracy and of our citizenship is to contemplate different scenarios that could happen if Joe Biden decides to get out of the race. But the first is to see where the man is who got all of the Democratic delegates in primary season this past year. We do actually have a democracy still in America. This is not a reality show. We cannot make up things as we go along. That's what the other side does. We must instead watch with open hearts and open minds. And we can't be Trumpian and yield all of our desires to our dear leader. Facts are coming in. Facts will keep coming in over the next week. And we stipulate right here and right now that Trump's Republicans are not serious about their politics. They're not serious about their party. They're not serious about this republic. And unfortunately, last week's debate reinforced that sorry truth more than ever. Because get this, you probably missed this with all the whining that was going on out there over the past week. As bad as Joe Biden was that night, and he was historically bad, Donald Trump was even worse with his lies. And if you saw any of the polls that came out that had Joe Biden losing a few points, you may have noticed, as the New York Times wrote, that independent voters took notice and that Donald Trump actually lost independent voters in that debate. I find that staggering. Now, Republicans and their far-right allies in the media are in meltdown mode, saying, "I told you so," and they're accusing the press of a cover-up. Let's just say, before they get too self-righteous, let's remember Republicans long idolized an aging Republican president whose decline was so bad it led an incoming chief of staff, Howard Baker, to commission a study of the 25th Amendment in case they needed to use it on Ronald Reagan. So please, Republicans, please right-wing media outlets, spare us your moral indignation over a man who had a really, really terrible debate, but a man who's been the most effective president over the past 3.5 years, the most effective president in passing bipartisan legislation this century, the most effective president in strengthening the dollar over the past 50 years, the most successful president when it comes to expanding our alliances, expanding NATO, expanding our defense reach all around China. Spare us your shock and your indignation. 3.5 years and a terrible debate. And what Democrats need to find out this week, and what Democrats need to worry about this week, are not what the newspapers that were lying about Joe Biden for years before this past week say. They need to look to Joe Biden. And he needs to answer the question, is he capable of moving forward? And he knows he needs to answer that question. He needs to answer it in interviews. He needs to answer it in press conferences. He needs to answer it at the NATO summit. He needs to answer it in everything that he does. As for the rest of us, and that's Democrats, that's independents, that's Republicans of good faith, let's be smart. Let's take a deep breath, and let's understand it's only July the 5th. Such an historic decision should not be made in haste. Now listen, the Democratic Party is not my party. I'm an independent. But it is the only party that is standing between our democracy, our great constitutional republic, and an autocratic thug who is promised to be dictator on day one. So Democrats, you better get this right. You better think through it. You better take your time. You better take a deep breath. And you better get this right. And if you do, America will follow you. Most Americans do not want the other guy to be elected president of the United States. So don't put them in a position where they feel like they have to vote for the tyrant by default. Do take the time necessary, though, to get this right. Because American democracy is riding on it, and the whole world is watching what you're doing. Good luck and Godspeed, John Glenn. Let's bring in MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle, Reverend Al Sharpton, Susan Page, and the economist Zanny Mitten-Meadows again, still with us. Mike, I start with you. I swear to God, it has been like therapy. I've been on the phone, unfortunately, taking a lot of calls over the past week. I know you have too. It's like therapy sessions, talking these people down off of a ledge. I mean, they need the answer. They need it right now. They bounce back and forth. They don't realize that it's July the 5th. And they don't remember maybe 1988 when Michael Dukakis was up 17 points over George H.W. Bush in August.
Yeah, you know, Joe, we will get an answer. We will get an answer from Joe Biden sooner rather than later, I would think. This is a man who, as you indicated, has been in the business of politics for over half a century. He's been on the ballot multiple times. He's been in multiple debates over the years. He can read polls. He's pretty good at the business of politics, as proven by his career. He knows what's going on. He knows the depth of trouble. He knows that the debate, that people saw something that they cannot unsee. But he also knows something that apparently the Biden administration hasn't fully explained to the American public. You know, I was thinking about this over the weekend. There are several great elements of history and different presidents that moved the economy and the country forward. There was Eisenhower's Highway Act in the 1950s that created suburbs, and there was a boom in the economy and a boom in the population. There was JFK and the Moon Program that changed things for all time in terms of technology and research and progress for America. And there was Lyndon Johnson, on July 2nd, 1964, all those years ago, signing the first really effective civil rights legislation, improved the country, made people feel better about the country. The Biden administration has passed the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act, two pieces of legislation that I'm told by people who know far more about economics than I do will change and improve the progress of our economy, modernize it, make it more widely spread in terms of both the country. Red states specifically will benefit from it more than blue states will. Employment is on the rise. It's at record numbers. More people are going to go to work today than any other time in American history. That's the Biden administration. Now, the decision on what he does going forward is his and his alone, in concert with his family, clearly. He will make the right decision for the country and for himself.
Yep. No doubt he's got a great record. There's no doubt about it. And you can go through it and compare that record domestically, legislatively, foreign policy-wise to anybody else's. And certainly all of the numbers far surpass what Donald Trump did over those 4 years. Donald Trump lied the entire time. I got to say really quick, you just have to stop right here and just say one of the most remarkable things I've seen in all the polling. And the White House was trying to tell me this the night of the debate, in shock, while they were in shock. They said, well, the Dial Group showed that independents really, really broke away from Donald Trump. I said, are they spinning me? Are they not spinning me? Saw on the New York Times yesterday, incredible. Biden lost 2-3 points in most polls. But independents actually broke away from Donald Trump toward Joe Biden. That's how much they were turned off by seeing this guy. And you will notice, too, for all the talk about Joe Biden being hidden and 8 o'clock and all of this other stuff, you notice Donald Trump has kept his head underground politically since this debate. Like, his staff is scared to death of having their old man go out and say crazy things to get him out on stages. They know that when Donald Trump goes out, he forgets whether we've had World War II or not. He forgets who the current president of the United States is. He thinks he's run against Barack Obama and beaten him. He thinks he's running against Barack Obama again. And sometimes he tries to get to the end of the sentence and he just sort of kind of goes off into left field, into the pasture. So, again, they're hiding Donald Trump right now. They don't want Donald Trump to get behind a microphone because the less he says, the safer they believe they are.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.